I'm Chris Walker. I teach photojournalism in the Department of Communication and Journalism here at Auburn University. I'm relatively new faculty. I came on last August, so I've been here 7 or 8 months at this point. Well, what I teach in class is all digital based because that's what is currently accessible in photojournalism. What I do for myself is all analog. There are issues that come up in film that require me to still shoot film because in digital it's just not working out that well. Long exposures, working in shady light, things like that are still better dealt with through traditional means than through new media. Well, right now what I'm looking at is a test that I ran last night. It's a student who I took out and photographed because one of my projects is to photograph people at county fairs. And Kodak has recently changed the formulation of their emulsion on this one film. And I was on their test team 3 years ago, and they changed that same formula for a different film. And it came up so it was better for the daytime users, but for people like myself doing this sort of project, it was really problematic. I had too much contrast. So I went out, shot a pair of pictures, figured out the way to develop in between them, develop them, and now I'm just trying to make some basic evaluations to see which sort of image is going to work first, or is going to work best. So come on over and take a look at this. It'll be easier to see if I'm pointing it out directly. The old film, as this is here, you can see my student Sean was wearing a black t-shirt, and if you look at this, you can see it's still fairly gray in here. It's not completely clear, which means there's a little density there, so it'll be easier for me to print. In the new film, the one up on top, flip it around, look at how clear this area is here compared to this. And I suspect this is going to be more difficult to print. If I was a typical photographer only working in daylight issues, it would be a lot simpler for me to deal with this. But since I'm a nighttime guy and I'm doing a special process with this, I think it's going to be a lot harder for me to get a decent print out of this than out of this. But we'll find out. So that's what I need to be working on in the next day or two, getting in the darkroom and physically making some prints of these, running them through something called a densitometer so I can see where the densities fall, how the image looks in the printed world, and basically find out for myself whether I'm happy with the process or not. With as many things changing in the photographic environment as they are right now, with the continuous growth of digital and the modification of all the analog processes, some companies going out, such as Polaroid, which went out about a month ago and is no longer producing film. People who still do film have to go about what they were doing by reinventing it continuously. And someone like Kodak, I'm grateful enough that they're out there, but when they change their emulsion, it becomes problematic for me. I have to go back in and recreate what I had done with a previous emulsion, which means I need to formulate my chemistry in a different way to match up what their chemistry has changed in their original, from their original emulsion formula. So a lot of science goes into it. I try not to talk about it too much or think about it, but it's very different for somebody taking a digital camera, making a simple snapshot, and outputting it through Photoshop. It's just two different ways of working. The large negatives like this, they allow me to photograph with actually a telephoto lens, so I get a lot of compression from background to foreground. It makes things appear closer than they are. And yet, because it's so large a negative, I'm taking in a big area on either side of my subject. So I photographed this guy with a 180 millimeter lens, which in normal terms would be for 35 millimeter cameras, a medium telephoto. But on the camera that I use, it's actually an extreme wide angle. So I get the wide angle point of view with the compression of a telephoto. And for that reason, largely, I've stuck with analog media, and also issues of detail. A lot of people come up with a new camera and they say, this gets an 8 meg capture. That's nice. This gets a 6 gig capture. So it's not anywhere close in that. I'm just hoping the digital media will continue to catch up. I expect they will, so that by the time the film stuff is gone and I can no longer work in it, there will be appropriate replacements for me in the new digital media.